The human ship Aurora's Reach drifted in careful silence above the pale blue world of Terra. From orbit, the planet looked calm, wrapped in silver cloud bands and wide oceans that reflected the light of its twin moons. Inside the ship, though, nothing felt calm at all. Lieutenant Elias Ward stood near the main observation window, hands clasped behind his back like he had seen captains do in old space dramas. He tried to look professional. He was failing. "That planet is judging me," he muttered. Behind him, Specialist Rana Cho snorted. "It's a planet, Ward. It doesn't care about your life choices." "It's an alien planet," he corrected. "With aliens." Important aliens. Royal aliens. "And I'm the guy who has to recalibrate their ceremonial tech," Rana grinned. "Hey, if it explodes, at least you'll make history." "That's exactly what I'm afraid of." Elias was not a diplomat. He wasn't a soldier either, not really. He was a systems specialist, good with power grids, signal routing, and fixing things that other people had broken by pushing buttons they didn't understand. He had signed up to see space, not to stand in the middle of the most important first contact ceremony in human history. But that was how things went. The Teyrathi had requested a joint technical demonstration as part of their Alliance summit. Something about shared trust through shared systems. Their bonding technology was going to be displayed alongside human neural interface tools, cultural exchange, symbolic cooperation, and somehow, Elias had ended up on the support team. The shuttle ride down to Terra's surface was smooth, but Elias's stomach still felt like it was trying to escape through his throat. Through the shuttle's viewports, he saw cities that curved like living things, their towers grown rather than built. Soft lights ran along their surfaces like veins under skin. When the shuttle landed, a welcoming party was already waiting. The Teyrathi were taller than humans, their bodies lean and graceful. Their skin shimmered faintly like light underwater, shifting in subtle colors that Elias couldn't name. Their eyes were large and dark, reflecting the world around them with unsettling clarity. At the front stood two figures, who were almost identical. "The Royal Sisters," Rana whispered. Elias had seen pictures, but in person, they were impossible to ignore. One stood straight and still, her posture perfect, her expression calm and unreadable. Her skin glowed a cool, steady blue. This was Crown Princess Sereth, heir to the Teyrathi leadership. Beside her stood her sister, Princess Kailira. She looked almost the same, but where Sereth was still water, Kailira was a restless tide. Her colors shifted more quickly, hints of violet and silver flickering across her skin. Her eyes moved constantly, curious, sharp. As the human delegation stepped out, Sereth inclined her head with careful grace. Kailira tilted hers slightly, studying them like a puzzle. Elias tried not to stare. The ceremony hall was enormous, its ceiling arching high above like the inside of a shell. Lines of soft light curved along the walls, pulsing gently. At the center stood two pieces of technology side by side. One was clearly Teyrathi, an elegant arch of crystal-like material, faint energy moving through it like mist. The other was a human neural interface platform, all clean metal and glowing panels. Elias knelt beside the human console, running final checks. His hands moved automatically, muscle memory taking over. Power stable. Signal handshake ready. Translation layer sync. Lieutenant Ward. He looked up too fast and almost hit his head on the console. Kailira stood a few steps away, watching him. Up close, he could see faint patterns moving beneath her skin, like light behind frosted glass.
"What? Yes, Princess?" he said, then winced at how his voice cracked.
Her lips curved slightly. "You are responsible for this device." "Yes. Well, hardly. Mostly. I mean, if it breaks, that's probably my fault." Her colors shifted warmer for a moment. Amusement, maybe. You fear failure, she said, constantly? That is, honest? Before he could answer, Sereth approached, diplomats and Terathi officials moving with her. The room grew quieter. The demonstration will begin, Sereth announced, her voice smooth and clear through the translation field. Today we show that our peoples can share not only words, but thought. Elias swallowed and focused on his screen. The plan was simple. A Terathi volunteer would step into their bonding arch while a human operator synced a safe, surface-level neural link through the human interface.
No deep connection.
Just shared sensory impressions, proof of compatibility. Except, as usual, reality had other ideas. Signal drift, Rana murmured from the other side of the console. I see it, Elias said, fingers flying. Terathi field strength is higher than projected. Across the room, a Terathi noble stepped into the arch. Energy shimmered around him like soft fog. Compensating, Elias muttered, rerouting through. A sharp tone cut him off. Power spike. Ward, Rana said, suddenly serious. That's not us. The Terathi device flared brighter. The energy around the volunteer twisted, no longer smooth. Shut it down, Elias said. I'm trying. It's not responding. A ripple of unease passed through the Terathi in the hall. Their skin tones shifted, colors darkening. And then Elias saw it. A feedback loop was forming between the two systems. Human signal algorithms were trying to stabilize the Terathi field, while the alien tech was adapting in return. Each adjustment made the connection deeper, stronger. Uncontrolled. If that bridges fully, it won't be surface level, Elias said. It'll be a full neural lock. Meaning? Rana asked. Meaning someone's brain is about to get way more company than it signed up for. The energy arced sideways, not toward the volunteer, toward the edge of the platform, toward the royal observers, toward Kaylira. She reacted fast, stepping back, but a loose cable from the human console snapped free under the surge, whipping across the floor. Without thinking, Elias lunged. He grabbed her arm and yanked her away from the live conduit. Right as the energy discharge jumped, white light exploded between them. For one endless second, there was no room, no sound, no gravity, only a flood of sensation that was not his. Cold air over unfamiliar skin, a racing heart that beat in a different rhythm. Fear, surprise, anger, curiosity, and under it all, a fierce, stubborn will that was not human. Then the light collapsed. Elias hit the floor hard, ears ringing. The ceiling swam above him. He became aware of two things at once. First, his own body, aching and shaky. Second, someone else's panic, slamming into his mind like a wave. He gasped and rolled onto his side. A few meters away, Kayla lay on one knee, one hand braced against the floor. Her skin flashed wild, chaotic colors. Their eyes met, and the world tilted. He felt her confusion as clearly as his own. Felt the way the room seemed too loud, too bright. Felt the sudden awareness of a second presence inside her thoughts. Inside his. What did you do? I don't know, he said, but the words felt wrong, because part of him did know. The energy field had not just discharged, it had completed the bond. A deep one. Across the hall, Sereth stepped forward, her calm finally cracking. Kaylira! Guards rushed in, weapons ready but uncertain where to point them. Human security pulled Elias to his feet, scanning him for injuries. I'm okay, he said, automatically. He wasn't. His emotions were not staying inside his own head anymore. Kailira's fear and anger bled through the link, sharp and bright. At the same time, she flinched as his confusion echoed back at her. "This is wrong," a Terathi official said, voice tight.
This bond was not sanctioned. Sarah stopped in front of them. Up close, the difference between the sisters felt even sharper now.
Sareth's emotions were controlled, layered deep, but Elias could still sense them, faintly, through Kailira. Shock, calculation, and underneath, worry for her sister.
Can you hear him? Sareth asked Kailira quietly.
Kailira's jaw tightened.
Yes. Elias winced.
I can hear you too. Not words exactly.
Just feelings, impressions. A murmur spread through the hall. "The bond must be severed," one of the elders said. Kailira's head snapped toward him. Elias felt her sudden spike of alarm like a jolt of electricity.
Wait, Elis said. If this is like our deep link prototypes, forced separation could cause neural damage.
Maybe worse. The Terathi fell silent at that. Sareth studied him. "You understand what has happened?" "Not all of it," he admitted. "But enough to know ripping it apart blindly is a bad idea." Kailira pushed herself to her feet. She swayed, and Elias felt the dizziness with her. Instinctively, he reached out to steady her. Their hands touched. The contact made the connection flare warmer, steadier. Her racing emotions eased a fraction. The entire room noticed.
Sareth closed her eyes briefly.
When she opened them, her voice was steady again. "The ceremony is ended. The human and my sister will be taken to a secure medical wing. No one is to act without council approval." Guards moved in, but carefully now, as if approaching something fragile. As they walked, Elias became painfully aware that every Terathi eye in the hall was on him, not with curiosity anymore, with fear. Inside his mind, Kailira's thoughts brushed his, uncertain and sharp.
"This was not meant for you," she thought. "Not in words, but in meaning."
"Yeah," he murmured under his breath. "I'm getting that." She shot him a look. "You speak aloud when you are nervous? You glow when you're stressed?" he shot back. Her colors flickered. Grief, startled amusement cutting through the fear. For a moment, despite everything, they both felt it. The absurdity. A random human technician and an alien princess, tied together by an accident that should never have happened. Ahead of them, the doors to the medical wing slid open. Behind them, in the great hall, the first alliance between their species had just turned into a political disaster. And neither of them could walk away from it, because no matter how much the council argued, or how many experts they called, the bond was already alive between them, steady and bright, impossible to ignore. The room they placed them in was quiet, round, and softly lit. The walls curved like the inside of a shell, glowing with a pale blue light that made everything feel calm, even when nothing actually was. Elias sat on the edge of a low platform that served as a bed, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. Across from him, Kailira stood near the wall, one hand pressed against the glowing surface as if she could feel something through it. Her skin shifted in slow, restless colors, silver, violet, pale blue, never settling. Neither of them had spoken for several minutes. It wasn't exactly silent, though. He could feel her, not her thoughts in clear words, not like voices. It was more like standing too close to someone during an emotional moment. The sense of her anxiety pressed against him, sharp and electric. In return, she felt the heavy weight of his worry and confusion. Finally, Elias let out a long breath. This is officially the strangest day of my life. Kailira didn't turn around. You say this as if you expect stranger days to follow. I really, really hope not. A flicker of dry humor brushed through the bond from her side. It surprised both of them. She turned to face him. Our healers are scanning the connection between our nervous systems. They say it is stable. Stable is good, he said quickly. It is also permanent, he swallowed. Right. Less good. She walked closer, studying his face with open curiosity. You are afraid.
Yeah.
But not of you. Her colors softened slightly. Most Terathi would be. Well, most humans would be scared too, he admitted. Alien princess in my head wasn't exactly on my career plan. She tilted her head.
And yet your fear is not directed at me. It's more like everything else. Politics.
Angry officials. The possibility someone decides I'm a walking science experiment. Through the bond, she felt the flash of memory. Cold labs, stories from human history about people treated like tools instead of persons. Her expression darkened. No one will harm you. He gave a small, uncertain smile.
That's nice to hear, but I'm not sure you get final say.
Before she could answer, the door Irished open. Crown Princess Sereth entered, followed by 2 Terathi advisors. Sereth's movements were calm as ever, but through the bond, Elias felt the tension radiating from Kaelira at her sister's presence. Guilt, worry, defensiveness. Sereth stopped a few steps away. Her gaze moved from Kaelira to Elias, sharp and assessing. How do you feel? She asked her sister.
Connected, Kaelira said.
Unbalanced, but not in pain. Sereth nodded once, then looked at Elias. And you, Lieutenant Ward? Like I plugged my brain into a power outlet, he said.
But I'm okay, I think.
One of the advisors stepped forward. The council debates even now.
This event has shaken many certainties.
I figured, Elias muttered. Sereth ignored the comment. Our bonding is sacred. It is normally guided, prepared for, and matched with care.
You and my sister have bypassed all tradition.
Trust me, Elias said. That was not on purpose. Kaelira felt his sincerity through the link and added quietly, he tried to pull me away from danger. The energy followed us. Sereth studied them both for a long moment.
There is more, she said at last. My own ceremonial bond was to occur soon.
Without it, rival houses question my readiness to lead.
So this isn't just awkward, Elias said. It's destabilizing.
Yes. Silence settled again, heavier this time. Through Kaelira, Elias felt a deep ache of responsibility. She had never wanted the political spotlight. Now she stood at the center of a crisis. I'm sorry, he said softly. Her head snapped toward him. You did not choose this. Still, she hesitated, then said, I am not sorry to be alive. The simple honesty of it hit him hard. He nodded. Sereth noticed the exchange.
You already influence each other, she said. Your emotional patterns are interweaving. Is that bad? Elias asked.
It is unprecedented. One advisor activated a floating display. Light formed a shifting model of 2 neural networks, threads of energy linking them.
The human mind is more tolerant of emotional fluctuation, the advisor said. Princess Kaelira's signals are stabilizing by syncing with his patterns.
Kaelira blinked. He is calming me. Not intentionally, the advisor replied. It appears to be a byproduct of human neurochemistry. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. So my species' talent for stress and chaos is finally useful. Sereth watched him with new interest. Perhaps. A soft chime interrupted them. The advisors stiffened.
One of the outer council members has filed a formal motion, one said. They claim the human interference may be deliberate sabotage.
Elias stared.
What? I tripped into a glowing alien machine. That's not a master plan.
Kalira's anger flared, hot and sharp. He risked himself to protect me. Sareth raised a hand, calming the room. Emotions will not sway the council alone. We need facts.
Elias frowned. You think someone actually messed with the equipment?
Sareth met his eyes.
We think it is possible. The energy surge did not match normal fluctuation. Kalira felt his thoughts race. Wiring diagrams, signal logs, power curves.
I need access to the data, he said. Both systems. Yours and ours.
The advisors exchanged uncertain looks.
Sareth nodded. Granted. A projection formed between them, streams of technical readouts scrolling in alien symbols and translated human code. Elias stood, drawn in despite the situation. Kalira stepped beside him automatically. Their shoulders brushed, and the contact steadied the noise in both their minds.
He pointed at a spike in the graph.
There. That jump didn't come from our side.
It's too clean. One advisor adjusted the display.
You are correct. It originated within our bonding array. Kalira's colors darkened.
Internal sabotage. Sareth's expression hardened, all softness gone. A rival house could gain much from public failure of my ceremony.
And from humans looking dangerous,
Elias added. Blame the newcomers, weaken your rule, push for isolation. Through the bond, Kalira felt a flicker of admiration. His mind moved quickly, connecting social and technical angles at once. Sareth noticed, too. You see patterns outside your own field. Humans are good at messy systems, he said. We live in them. Another chime sounded. This one, urgent. A guard's voice came through the wall, calm.
Hi, Princess. Multiple network disruptions across the defense grid.
we suspect coordinated intrusion. Sareth turned sharply.
Source? Unknown. But timing suggests relation to the earlier incident. Kalira felt fear ripple through her, but also something else. Focus. She looked at Elias.
They are moving now, while we are divided.
He nodded. Classic. Sareth faced them both. For a moment, she looked less like a royal figure and more like a leader making a hard choice.
Our command systems rely on bonded pairs to process large tactical data, she said.
Without my partner, I am slower. Kalira understood immediately. You want to use our link.
Sareth's gaze shifted to Elias.
And you?
He blinked. Me? I'm not military command. No, she said.
You are human. You adapt quickly, tolerate emotional overload, and think across boundaries. Those traits may compensate for what we lack. Kalira felt his spike of nerves, and stubborn resolve right behind it. If we do this, he said, we do it together. No one treats her like a tool. Or me? Sareth inclined her head.
Agreed.
Moments later, they were moving through corridors alive with tension. Guards rushed past. Lights shifted from calm blue to alert amber. They entered a strategic chamber filled with floating displays. Data streamed everywhere. Fleet positions, defense satellites, communication failures. Sareth took her place at the center. Kalira stood at her right. Elias hesitated, then stepped to her left.
Open a shared tactical channel,
Sareth ordered. A field activated around them. Information poured in. Elias nearly staggered. Whoa. So much data. So fast. But Through the bond, Kalira felt his mind do something unexpected. He didn't try to control everything. He filtered, grouped, prioritized.
Those disruptions aren't random, he said, pointing. They're mapping response times. Someone's testing your blind spots. Sereth adjusted fleet positions. Kalira reached through the link, sensing emotional patterns in intercepted communications.
They are confident, she said. They believe we are slow to react. Elias grinned despite the situation. Let's disappoint them. For the first time since the accident, the fear between them shifted into something else. Purpose. 3 minds, different but connected, leaning into the storm together. Outside, enemy ships edged closer to Terra's defensive line. Inside, a human who never wanted to be important stood beside 2 alien sisters at the heart of a growing crisis. And for the first time, the bond between them felt less like a mistake and more like the beginning of something none of their worlds had ever seen before. The tactical chamber felt smaller with every passing minute. Streams of light moved through the air, showing ship paths, weapon ranges, and warning signals. Terathi officers stood at stations around the room, their skin glowing in sharp, anxious colors as they worked. At the center stood Seraph, Kalira, and Elias, surrounded by a faint energy field that linked them into the command network. Elias had never been in a real battle before. Simulations, yes. Strategy games, sure. But this was different. Every blinking point of light on the display was a ship full of living beings, and he could feel the pressure from 2 directions at once. His own fear and Kalira's. He took a slow breath.
Okay, we don't need to win everything at once. We just need to stop them from getting control of your defense grid.
Sereth's eyes moved quickly over the projections.
They are targeting our relay nodes. If those fall, our fleets lose coordination.
Kalira closed her eyes briefly, reaching through the communication streams. Her talent was not just logic, but emotional reading. Even through encoded signals, Terathi could sense intention.
They expect us to protect the inner systems first, she said. They believe we will be cautious. Elias nodded. So we're not. Sereth glanced at him.
Explain. When now?
He pointed at the outer defense ring. We make a move that looks reckless. Shift more ships to the outer nodes than makes sense.
They'll think we're panicking or miscalculating. Kalira felt his confidence rise as he spoke, and it steadied her.
You want to lure them into overcommitting?
Exactly. They'll push harder where they think we're weak. That's when we hit their command ships. Sereth gave a sharp order. Fleets began to move. Around them, officers murmured in surprise at the sudden, aggressive repositioning.
They will notice, one advisor warned. Good, Elias said quietly.
Through the bond, Kalira sensed something else in him, something Terathi rarely experienced in battle. Improvisation without fear of looking foolish. Minutes passed like hours. Enemy signals shifted, exactly as he predicted. Their formation bent toward the outer ring, pressing the attack. Sereth's eyes narrowed. They took the bait. Now, Elias said. Kalira focused, amplifying subtle emotional spikes in enemy transmissions. There, she said, highlighting a cluster. Their coordination hub. Sereth redirected a fast response squadron. Terathi's ships flashed forward, engines burning bright. The enemy formation wavered as their command ship came under sudden attack. A ripple of relief moved through the chamber. Too soon. A harsh alarm cut through the air.
New contacts! An officer shouted.
Multiple signatures emerging from behind the third moon. A second wave. Elias felt Kalira's shock slam into him. Through her senses, he felt the room's emotional field spike. Fear, anger, disbelief.
They hid a reserve force, Sereth said, voice tight.
And we just move ships away from the inner system, Elias finished. For a moment, guilt tried to crawl up his spine. His plan had worked, but only against part of the enemy. Kaelira felt the self-blame and pushed back against it through the bond. Not with words, but with firm reassurance. Adapt, her emotions said. Keep moving, he straightened. Okay, we adjust. Seraph looked at him. Not desperate. Expectant. They think we're stretched thin now, he said. So we act like it, pull back in a way that looks messy. Not clean retreat, controlled chaos.
Controlled dead?
Chaos, Sereth repeated carefully. Humans do it all the time. Kaelira almost smiled, despite everything.
He means we make them think we are losing coordination. Understanding dawned in Sereth's eyes. They will rush to finish us. And expose their flanks, Elias said.
Orders flew. Tyrathi ships began to fall back, but not in perfect lines. Some lagged, others surged forward, creating the appearance of confusion. Enemy ships accelerated, chasing. Kaelira felt the shift in their emotional pattern, confidence turning into hunger for victory. Now they are overextended, she said. Sereth gave the signal. Hidden defense platforms powered on from dark orbit, weapons blazing into the enemy's sides. Tyrathi ships wheeled around in a sharp counterattack, the chamber filled with light as projections updated rapidly. Elias swayed as information poured through the link. His head pounded, but he forced himself to stay focused. Kaelira felt it. His strain, his determination. She reached out and took his hand without looking at him. The contact steadied them both. Sereth noticed, but said nothing. She was too busy directing the largest fleet maneuver of her life. For several intense minutes, the battle turned in their favor. Enemy formations broke apart under the sudden counterstrike. Then a new alert appeared. Intrusion detected in planetary defense control, an officer said, voice shaking. They're not just attacking from space, they're trying to seize the grid directly. Sereth's expression hardened.
A ground team.
Kaelira felt a flash of realization.
The sabotage at the ceremony, it was only the beginning. They already had agents inside our systems.
Elias exhaled slowly. So this was always the real plan. Distract the fleet, grab the planet.
Sereth looked between them. If they gain control of the defense grid, they can turn our own weapons on the cities. Silence hit like a physical blow.
Location? Kaelira demanded. Central Relay Corps, the officer replied. Deep beneath the capital. Sereth turned to her guards. Prepare a rapid transport. Elias blinked. Wait, we're going there? In person? Sereth met his eyes. Our bond gives us an advantage no remote team has. We can coordinate instantly. Kaelira squeezed his hand. Her emotions were fierce, focused. Not fear of death, but fear of failing her people. He swallowed. Okay. Then let's go. The transport ride down was fast and rough. The small craft dove through the atmosphere toward the glowing city below. Sirens echoed faintly even through the hull. Elias sat strapped in beside Kaelira, trying not to think about how unqualified he was for a combat drop into an alien command center. Through the bond, she felt his nerves and pushed calm toward him. You are still here, she said softly. You could have stepped back, but then I'd just be scared somewhere else. This way at least I'm useful.
Her colors warmed. The craft landed hard in a guarded courtyard.
Tyrathi security forces surrounded a sealed entrance leading underground. Multiple hostiles inside, a commander reported.
They are using signal scramblers. Sareth nodded. We will lead. They moved through metal corridors lit by red emergency strips.
The air hummed with stressed power systems. Elias stayed between the sisters, a compact human shock pistol in his hand that he really hoped he wouldn't have to use. Through the bond, Kalira extended her awareness, brushing against faint emotional traces ahead. They are close, she whispered, confident. Focused on the core, they reached a heavy door blown open by cutting tools. Beyond it, sparks flew from damaged consoles. Strange armored figures worked at a central control column. Seraph stepped forward, voice ringing out. Stand down! The intruders turned, weapons rising. What followed was fast and chaotic. Terathi guards exchanged fire with the attackers, beams flashing across the room. Elias ducked behind a console, heart racing. Through the bond, he felt Kalira's sharp focus and Sereth's icy control. One attacker broke through toward the main control interface. They're going to force a manual override, Elias shouted. Kalira moved instantly, vaulting over debris. Elias felt her motion as if it were his own. He didn't think. He followed. Together, they reached the console. Symbols flashed too fast for him to read. I need access, he said. Kalira placed her hand on the interface, linking with the system. Data flooded through the bond into Elias's mind. Alien code structures, security layers. It was overwhelming, but he didn't try to understand all of it. He looked for patterns. There, he gasped. That's their injection point. Kalira relayed the insight to Sereth, who redirected guards to cover them. Elias pulled a multi-tool from his belt, hands shaking, and opened a side panel. He rerouted power, creating a feedback loop. The console sparked. The enemy override signal collapsed. Across the room, the remaining attackers faltered as Terathi forces overwhelmed them. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of damaged circuits. Elias sagged against the console. Please, tell me that worked. Kalira checked the system. Relief flooded through the bond. Control is ours. Sereth approached, breathing hard for the first time Elias had seen. She looked at them both, her sister glowing with fierce pride, the human technician covered in dust and sweat. You did more than work, she said quietly. You saved the heart of our world. Elias laughed weakly. No pressure, right? Above them, reports began to come in. Enemy ships retreating. Defense grid stable. Through the bond, Kalira felt something new growing between the three of them. Not just survival. Trust earned in fire. And far away in the political shadows, those who had planned this day were about to learn something important about humans. They were very hard to predict, and even harder to stop once they decided someone was worth protecting. The control chamber still smelled of burned circuits and overheated metal, but the alarms had finally gone quiet. Elias sat on the floor with his back against a cracked console, breathing hard. His hands trembled now that the danger had passed. Across from him, Kalira leaned against the central column, her skin glowing in slow waves of color that matched the exhaustion he felt in his own bones. Sereth stood a short distance away, speaking with security commanders through a hovering display. Her voice was steady again, calm and controlled. But through Kalira, Elias could feel the deep relief she kept hidden from everyone else. The last hostile ships are retreating beyond the outer system, a commander reported. Our fleets are pursuing at a safe distance. Do not chase too far, Sereth said. We secure our space first. The display faded. She turned to face them. For a moment, she simply looked at her sister and the human beside her. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of recovering systems.
You both need medical attention,
she said. Elias tried to stand and almost fell over.
Yeah, that sounds smart. Kalira was beside him instantly, steadying him.
The contact sent a warm pulse through the bond, easing the sharp edge of his headache. You pushed yourself too far, she said softly. So did you, he replied. She gave a small tilt of her head. I am trained for strain. You are not. Humans are good at pretending we are, he said with a weak smile. They were escorted back up through the city, which now glowed with emergency lights and moving rescue craft.
Despite the attack, the streets below were not in chaos.
Terathi moved with purpose, helping one another, restoring systems. Elias watched through the transport window. They're not panicking. We do not freeze when afraid, Kylira said. We act. Yeah, he said quietly. So do we. In the medical wing, soft fields scanned them again. Healers confirmed what Elias already felt. The bond between him and Kylira had deepened under stress, but remained stable. Your neural patterns are synchronizing more efficiently, one healer said with clear fascination. Response time between you has improved by 12%. Great, Elias muttered. We're becoming a better team under fire. That's comforting. Kylira felt his lingering fear, less about the battle, more about what came next. Politics. Judgment. As if summoned by the thought, the doors opened and Seraph entered with several council members. The room shifted instantly. Healers stepped back. Guards straightened. Elias tried to sit up straighter on the medical platform. Kylira remained beside him, close enough that their shoulders touched. An elder with deep violet tones across his skin spoke first. Today has changed the course of our people. That's one way to put it, Elias murmured. Sereth shot him a brief look that almost held amusement before she faced the council.
The attack was not random, she said.
Evidence confirms involvement of House Valrese.
They sabotaged the bonding array and coordinated the assault, hoping to weaken the throne and turn us against humanity. A low wave of anger passed through the council members. The human did not cause this, Sereth continued. He helped stop it. Twice. All eyes turned to Elias. He resisted the urge to wave awkwardly. Kylira stepped forward slightly. I am alive because of him. Our defense grid stands because of him.
I will not hear him spoken of as a threat.
The elder studied them, their proximity, the subtle synchronization of their breathing, the emotional current flowing between them. The bond is undeniable, he said slowly. And powerful. Another counselor nodded. Our analysts confirm that their shared processing during the battle exceeded normal bonded pairs in adaptability. Elias blinked. Wait, really? Yes, Sereth said.
You think in non-linear ways. You tolerate emotional noise instead of filtering it out.
It gave us flexibility our enemies did not expect. He scratched his head. So being a mess is finally a tactical advantage. Kylira's colors flickered with soft laughter. The elder raised a hand.
The council has reached a decision. The bond will not be severed.
It will be recognized.
Elias felt Kylira's rush of relief before his own hit.
Recognized how? He asked carefully. Sereth stepped closer.
As the first formal human Terathi bond, a symbol of alliance and evolution.
Evolution? He echoed. Our scientists believe this connection is not a mistake, she said.
It is a compatibility we did not know was possible. Kylira looked at him, wonder mixing with nervousness. We are something new. He let out a slow breath.
No pressure. The council members began discussing public announcements and diplomatic protocols, but their voices faded into the background for Elias. He focused on the steady presence in his mind that was not his own. A few days later, the great hall where everything had gone wrong was filled again. This time, the atmosphere was different, not tense. Anticipating. Representatives from both species gathered. Human diplomats stood beside Teathri nobles. Overhead, recording drones hovered quietly. Elias stood in a formal human uniform he felt wildly unqualified to wear. Beside him, Kylira's colors shimmered in calm, proud tones. Across from them, Sereth addressed the assembly. Days ago, we believed our traditions had been broken, she said. Today, we understand they have grown. She gestured toward Elias and Calera. Their bond was born in chaos, tested in crisis, and proven in defense of two worlds. Elias felt every eye in the hall. His palms were sweating. Calera sensed it and sent a quiet wave of reassurance through the link. You are not alone, she murmured. Sereth continued. Let this stand as truth. Humanity is not a danger to us. They are partners whose strength lies not in perfection, but in resilience. A soft murmur of agreement moved through the crowd. The formal recognition followed. Symbols exchanged. Vows of alliance spoken. Nothing in the words mentioned fate or destiny. It was about choice, cooperation. When it was done, Elias finally exhaled. That went better than expected, he whispered. You expected exile? Kailira asked.
Honestly, a little.
She tilted her head. You risked yourself for strangers. Yeah, he said. That's kind of our thing. Later, as the hall emptied, Sereth approached them one last time. You both have given me something I did not expect, she said. What's that? Elias asked. She looked at her sister. A reminder that strength does not always come from control. Sometimes it comes from connection. Kalira smiled softly. You led well. Sereth inclined her head. We led together. She left them then, duties already calling her back. Elias and Kailera stepped out onto a high balcony overlooking the glowing city. Night had fallen, and the twin moons reflected in the oceans beyond. For a while, they just stood there. So, Elias said at last, what happens now? Kailira considered. Now we learn. About each other. About what this bond can become. He glanced at her. You're okay being stuck with me? She met his eyes. Through the link, he felt her answer before she spoke. I do not feel stuck, she said. I feel connected by choice. He smiled, tension easing from his shoulders. Far below, ships moved in the sky as repairs continued. Life went on. Neither of them noticed the small research station in orbit turning its sensors toward them, recording unusual readings from the bond. Subtle changes, growing strength. Something that had started as an accident was slowly becoming something else. Not just a link between two minds, but the beginning of a bridge between worlds.